Hey guys, today we're in Brooklyn, New York with my buddy Mark O'Brien. Flew in from the Bahamas and we're going to see the comparison, flip-flops, I know, you see them, between coastal living,
welcome to New York,
and island living versus historic building. I have a passion for this. This is great. Can't wait to see inside and what you're about to do.
Hey, thanks for coming in. I want to see your coastal living setup.
We'll have you
I
down.
love that. You know, I moved to New Zealand in 2008. Exact same reason I think why you're going to Exuma.
Yep, it's just awesome.
Take your kids.
Life's short.
Live life, right?
Yeah.
And do what you love to do. Build.
Absolutely. You have an appreciation for woodwork, and the guy who built this, I do want to show it to you, but you're going to give me some ideas too.
Yeah, no.
But we've got reverse osmosis, we've got solar, we've got septic down there, so it's not the the joys of the modern, tying to the street here.
Yeah, right. No, I'm excited to see that. So
but this is great.
Yeah, let's check it out.
So this is the classic Brooklyn brownstone.
Say it 3 times.
Classic brownstone.
Brooklyn brownstone. I have a hard. Was it both? Because we're both from Jersey.
Those guys down there, they're resurfacing, right?
Yeah. So they'll redo all the brownstone. So look, and here's a little interesting thing. They painted this one, right? This was painted. Welcome to Brooklyn, by the way. This is constant. This is why we need new windows, double glazed. But these guys painted their brownstone. That's the luxury of being an owner, right? Is you get away with a lot of that. I'll have to resurface it with legit brownstone.
Now, do they know you're selling it? That's why?
Yeah, exactly, right? So they're paying more attention.
So I was watching those guys down. It was pretty cool. It's almost like a dry bit type of, gritty.
Yeah, it used to be kind of real brownstone from New Jersey, as a matter of fact.
What is a brownstone?
It's a type of stone. They get it from a quarry, and but now it's more like a sand material with this little glitter.
So just the coating's the brownstone?
Essentially.
I've got it.
They'll chisel it off, and then they get down to a scratch coat, and then they have to let that cure, and then they'll put the brownstone, they'll basically trowel the brownstone on.
Now, do you have to pick a certain brown color, or is it?
Yeah, it's all landmarked. It's all it has to be approved by the Historic Commission.
I've got it.
So in New York City, any street sign that's brown is landmarked, is historic.
Okay.
If it's a green street sign, that means that you can do anything you want, essentially, within the zoning and the codes. But what I think is cool, I'll have to redo these corbels. And it's just like, it's interesting. These guys come from like Jamaica for the most part, and they're like artists. How they do that.
Concrete behind there, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll put the browns to go.
Right. And they'll have these little trowels, and they're like little, like little artists from the day. It used to be Italians, and then Polish, and now most of these guys are from Jamaica.
And it's amazing, if you had to redo this entire thing today from scratch, you probably could.
Yeah, no, the last one I did on Green Avenue around the corner, the facade cost me $60,000 to resurface, and it was in decent shape. I mean, this is in much better shape. It cost me $60,000, and then the metal work, like replacing all that, was $30,000.
There's concrete under all this, right?
Yeah.
Now, will you replace this entire thing?
I'm going to try to replace just the cap. I'll try to replace just this, but landmarks and the historic people will come by and they'll inspect it.
And this is 100% original.
Yeah, this is old as.
And how about down here?
Yeah, same thing. I have this inside, so these came off, but somehow the guy saved them and they were still here in the house under the front step. So I'll be able to put those back in place. If not, I'll have to have it, manufactured.
That's amazing.
And this will be, I paid $30,000 for the last house. This is probably $15,000 of work. Between this, there's a piece out here that needs to be redone. This a little bit down here, and that piece there. And like some of this, right, like that, like this here, I mean, it's just doesn't line up right.
Yep.
So I'll see what I can get away with,
Yep,
I mean, look, the nice thing about restoring old houses is that's part of the charm, and the character, is that it's old and it's not perfect.
Yep, exactly.
Like you build a brand new house, like your development in the Bahamas.
Yep. Some of that's not going to be straight either. That's going to look like it was always there.
Right, I mean, that's a little bit of the beauty of that. It's an island, right?
Yep.
So
yep.
you get some leeway.
Yep. But you're right, you can't recreate this. My favorite house I ever did was built in 1895. It was an old Georgian. I lived in it for a while. I slept like a baby. And that's why I have a fascination.
It was solid.
Solid.
Yeah.
Like you could be in the hallway downstairs, scream, and not hear you in the bedroom.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable. I mean, the plaster walls, the floor.
Yeah, they really built things right back then. I hate to say it, but part of it is just the nature of timber, right? Timber back in the 1800s, this grew a lot slower, so it's a lot more dense. And it was a true 2x4. Now it's, you know, because of shrinkage, right? It's,
Yep. Oh yeah. It's like ipe wood we use down in the Bahamas. It's like you go drill bits for the decking, and you're biting through drill bits every 10
right?
boards.
Yeah, you wear through
and that's
it.
like this stuff.
It's like metal.
Yeah. So, hey, let's take this look inside.
Yeah, let's go in. You use chains in your projects?
We do not.
You don't?
Only on the
Just like
toolboxes.
just like a regular lock, like civilized development. Check it out.
This is awesome.
Watch out for the raccoons.
12-foot ceilings.
Yeah, about 12 foot.
Look at those timbers.
Right? So, you know, we've already sistered some of these up, replaced some of them all together, but these are the original, as you know. And then we'll use the LVLs to replace, which is, you know, solid for modern day technology.
Is that a fireplace up there on there? Let me just carrying that.
And right here, right? So it goes all the way up, and then the same thing here. So we've got like 6, 2, 4, 6, I think we have 6 fireplaces. So typically all these brownstones have 6 fireplaces.
So you take these down to the exterior. I've always wondered, you see brick here, right? And then you're seeing the brownstone. How thick's that wall and what's it consist of?
It's essentially 2 layers of brick, and that's also the party wall as well. So just 2 layers of brick. You can see this where there was some kind of channel there for some kind of vent, which is since rotted, so they pulled it out. But that wall, if you put your hand in there, that's the neighbor's wall.
Okay, and they have 2.
And they've got 2 as well.
So there's 4 in between.
Right,
wow.
but you can, you know, look, so it is solid, but sometimes, so what I do is I'll insulate. I'll do soundproofing.
Okay.
Just, you know, it adds, you know.
Spray foam or?
Spray foam, yep. You use a lot of spray foam?
And we do.
I used to only use spray foam, and now I'm using a little pink bats and spray foam. I'm going
I like
back
it
and
because
forth.
it's that vapor barrier, especially in the coastal areas.
Yeah.
Building in Bahamas, we won't because everything's concrete there, but in Stone Harbor, it's that vapor barrier just so you don't get that smell of, you know, the water coming up.
Oh, yeah.
So how many floors? You've got?
So this will be what's called a 3/1. So it's a 2-family house. So there'll be the owner's triplex, this is the main floor for the owner, the parlor floor. It has the high ceilings, and then you have a primary bedroom, master bedroom, you know, and then kids' bedrooms on the top. And then I'll break through the roof and I'll put a bulkhead and give roof access.
Wow.
And then the renter, you know, if they decide to rent, or sometimes it's an in-law suite, they'll go under the staircase outside. You know, it's a nice entrance. It's, you know, under the staircase sounds like, oh, they gotta, you know, my mother-in-law is not gonna go under a staircase, but it's legit, and that's how they lived back in the day in these brownstones.
And that would be a rental.
And that's a rental, and that will be 2 bedrooms, and probably rent for about anywhere from probably about $5,000 a month.
Wow. So there's a head start, right?
Yeah. So look, a lot of people that buy these will like that rental income.
I've got it. This front door, is this, I did some homes that were in the like 20s and it was like chestnut. What is this? Is this?
You know, I'm not sure what kind of wood
will you keep
is.
This?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is money, right?
Yeah, but look what they put
I mean, I have to strip it. Yeah, I'll strip it down, and but like these arched doors with the arched glass. I mean, to buy that new, that would be, you know.
And you saved all the whole old knoll and all that?
I've got that saved upstairs.
That's what I did with my Georgian. I stripped it down to the plaster walls, saved all the trim. But that, I don't know if you come across this, like if you have a wall, when they did the lath, these could be in and out, and the lath took care of the in and out. Once you go sheetrock, you have to pack everything
That's right.
out.
No,
is that the case here?
The lath hides a lot of the imperfections of, I think a lot of it is just how they would mill these boards back in the day. It wasn't as much of a science as it is now, but it's a stronger board. But yeah, so that would hide a lot of the imperfections. But now, you know, that's just trying to hang pictures on that.
One thing I always learned, the horsehair in the lath.
Yeah,
yeah. Cool?
Yeah.
Just like,
I mean, that's how they do the basement.
That's our new fiber cement, right? Like the fibers in it was the horsehair. So.
Yeah, I don't know how they figured that out, but the process of evaluating how we're going to secure, you know, stone and brick and lath. You know, so the basement is all horsehair and mud, right? And that's how
the foundation.
The foundation. That's 150 years old.
It's amazing. It's
right?
still standing.
Somebody asked me, like, is it true? They had a contractor say that you can't mix modern day technology with old, you know, construction methods, which I thought was kind of asinine. I'm not sure.
You did it right here.
Yeah, I mean, then that's stronger. The LVLs are stronger than what's here. Look, the beauty of what's here originally from 150 years ago is that it's right off of a tree, right? You know, it's 100% natural, whereas LVLs is glue,
strain board and all that,
right? So but but it works, and I don't think it's killing anybody.
That's why everything's so solid. All right, so we're going downstairs. Now, Mark, I did notice that there's one set of steps, but there's another set of steps.
Yeah.
Is there 2 floors down there?
Yeah, no, I want to take you to the cellar, the bottom level. Yeah, that's where the horsehair is.
So many levels to this house.
Yeah, it gets darker and darker as we go down. Hopefully I'll find the lights and see.
And it's amazing. How deep did they go below ground to get 2 floors below, right? So this is ground.
No, well this is, and then if you can look
So this
here,
is
right?
ground level. But
Yeah.
but
This is partially below grade, right? So we're
I see.
like 3 steps below
like a
grade here.
split level.
So this is an example, right, of an old foundation, stone, horsehair, but solid, rock solid, pun intended.
And it's wide too, right? How wide?
Yeah, this is
that?
20. This is the building is 20 feet wide. And you got the right shoes on for this.
I do. They're still tipped.
Yeah, don't sue me if you step on something.
This, I'm telling you, this is exactly like when I started in this vacation town in Winona. It smells exactly like it. 1890 is when it was built.
Yeah, and it's driving me a little crazy that we can't seal it up because there's water still coming in just from, in the back wall, the rear wall.
Now, what will this be?
Broken. So this will be all wide open space, kind of either storage for kids.
But no living space.
No, it will be living. There's
maybe
going to be a bathroom here. This actually is mechanicals.
Okay.
So this will be mechanicals. You'll come down the stair, and then this will be wide open. We're going to actually dig down 4 inches. So, what goes on in New York, because the dirt is so expensive, right? The parcel, the lot is so expensive that people are digging down to create real livable space so that you don't have an 8-foot ceiling or 7.5, but we'll dig down as much as we can. The problem is then you start to undermine the foundation.
Sides.
So
What
you
do you
either
do there?
bench it. Do you do this in New Jersey? Or you either bench it, which is basically you have to have a piece of concrete to secure the wall, or you underpin it, or you go all the way down, which is a lot more expensive. And then you're basically doing another footing below what's there now. And that'll get you, but either way, you can gain another, foot or 3 feet.
Which is huge.
Right. And then you have real livable space. Then you can put a, duct work for air conditioning, heating, lighting, vents, dehumidifier. So this will be beautiful space. And this is free, right? So I always say this, you always look for, like, how can you get free FAR, right? There's always a maximum that you can build. And so this is essentially free square footage.
Will you do that here?
Yeah. So we're going to go down, I think, like 4 inches, not a lot, because and so when I come look at a house, I'm always looking to see how is the cellar, and is it a crawl space? Then that's like a disaster.
Yeah.
But I looked at this immediately. I said, I've got 1,000 square feet here, free.
Lots of value. That's awesome. How long will that take, and when will you start that?
God. That's
This whole project, how long is it?
the whole thing would be like 18 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's funny because people say, oh, it's easier to remodel. It's not. It's harder, right? New
Yeah.
construction, a nice level lot. We're building in 12 months to 13, 14 months. So
Right.
that's the problem.
No, it's always a trade-off. I love that old historic houses, inherent in that are imperfections, and people kind of like the character, but yeah, you always find things that you just can't, that are not character.
First Victorian house I ever did, I was sanding the floors, the old pine 2-inch floors. And as I was sanding, I would start to smell in the bedroom the perfumes that were spilled
No way.
on that floor throughout the years.
Wow, that's cool, really.
So like a lavender smell, like who knows, from 1920s or 1930s.
So I've got this stop work order, which is legit, but it's somewhat not legit because the inspector didn't realize that we had a piece of steel going all the way across in that pocket there to a pocket here, and you can see that there's a pocket there. You can see that there's new work done on those bricks. So I came in, I broke out the brick here and said, here's the metal. It's a continuous steel beam, but my guy covered it up. So here's the problem, right? With these things, it's like everyone wants to move fast, and in New York, nothing slips. So there's got to be a sign off. So somebody has to identify that there is a steel beam before they cover it
And
up.
that steel beam's going from here to here?
Right.
Under here?
Yeah. So it's
So you
totally.
can't see it from below?
You can't see from below because it's kind of buried. It's buried in this, right?
Oh, right, yeah.
I said to my guy 3 times, like, where is the steel? I don't see it.
Can you just pop this up? Just one?
Yeah, that's probably how he'll do it. I mean, but I think they're going to want to see it in the pocket. So anyway, I'll show you out. I'll show you out back because it looks visually. It looks.
Gotta get the chainsaw out.
That's right. Look at my sawzall.
Or the metal detector.
I'm good with a sawzall.
So here it is. This is the rail.
Right.
And the knoll.
Yeah. So look, right, stuff like this. I just love the curves on this. So this will go back in place, and I think we'll get that restored properly.
So when I was a young lad, I worked on this farmhouse.
Long time ago.
We lived in I tell people I'm from Jersey, but I lived up cow farm, dairy farms, and Miss Davis, she was 80 years old. I took care of her farm, and in her farmhouse was a knoll post like this, and she asked me, and I don't know if you know this, she had a piece of ivory right here. You know what that is? So she said, when you paid the home off, right, the bank would give you a piece of ivory to replace this little mound, like a Hershey Kiss smudge.
No way.
And
I didn't
they
know
would give you the mortgage, and you would put it in here.
No way.
Yep.
I'm looking for ivory.
I don't have any ivory on my.
It's not paid off. Does that mean it's not paid off? This house was in like bankruptcy and shit.
But
so.
yeah, she told me. She said, and then they would pop the cap off, and the mortgage, when it was signed off and paid, they would put in here.
No way.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've never heard that story.
It was an old farmhouse built in like the 1800s.
Yeah, we'll have to check to see if anybody knows that story from a New York brownstone. I love that.
So these are bedrooms, and they have and fireplaces, right?
Yeah. So this will be. So tell me what you think of this. This is actually the master. You know, the primary bedroom. Bedroom, closet, bathroom, and this is going to be a toilet room, big shower, floating tub, clawfoot tub in front of the windows. You know, we'll do some kind of screening, but I'm going to keep this. So it's a working fireplace. It won't be working, but the mantle. So they'll basically be in the toilet room. Yeah. I just thought instead of ripping it out,
candles, they'll love it.
Right, candles, just the tub, and just the whole aesthetic of it.
Oh yeah. So the bedroom is back here.
Right. So that's the bedroom.
So this whole floor.
This is all primary.
Oh wow.
And then the kids are upstairs. And then another fireplace. So this will be the bed wall fireplace. So I'll have to reline all the fireplaces, but beautiful, right? I mean, look, some of them. The last one I did had a essentially built-in mirror. Yeah, I'm going to do exposed brick on that wall.
On the stair wall.
Yeah. I mean, look, the problem with exposed brick is in a brownstone. Brownstones are notorious for being dark because you only have windows in the front and the back. You don't have any side windows typically. So you want to paint it white and get reflection and brightens it up. But people also like exposed brick, so I'll do it.
That was a struggle I did with a lot of the Victorian homes. It was that original chestnut, and I painted it all white because the white fad was coming in.
Yeah.
And the realtor went crazy. But that's what people wanted, right? So there's that balance. They don't want that dark, you know.
Yeah. And look, it's easier to paint than to sell it to somebody, to a new owner. And if they want to paint it, let them paint it.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's kind of my feeling, but you know, it's 50-50. You're right. A broker will come in and say, yeah, but you want to sell it right now, right? Yep. So let's paint it. It'll pop, and people will love it. It'll look bigger. It'll look bright. It'll look clean. You know, they may look at this brick and say,
the detail's still there. You know, the detail on the trim.
Yeah, no, I'm 50-50. I go either way on it, but.
So how many months are you into this project?
Like 10.
Really?
Yeah.
To get it down, the demo. And
demo and we had a little.
So you're still at like
delay.
A framing stage if it was new construction.
But this goes fast. I mean, we already started framing, and then as soon as we were done, you know, we have all our mechanicals, electric, plumbing, HVAC, then bang, we knock it out pretty quick.
All right, guys, check this out. We did a video down in Stone Harbor, and we had ram's crown. We had the sill plate, we had the 1x4, the sash bead, and the ram's crown, and that's what the new AZAC products, the PVC products, are to replicate, you know, this old OG molding. Like, it's amazing. Did you ever get the knives cut for these to replicate?
I've done it. I've done it on one project. Just a piece of the crown molding was special, and you know, but often they're making similar.
Yeah. So what that is, you could take this, and they would have a knife. You would put a square piece through the planer, and the knife would be shaped this way, and you could replicate this trim if you ran out or needed more. I did that once.
Right, so basically you cut a piece so you have a profile, so you can bring the profile to your mill guy and have them replicate it. But I say just save everything, and we'll make the decision at the end.
How about windows? What will you do for windows?
So new windows, probably Marvin.
Marvin makes a great wood window.
Yeah, so we have to do wood because it's historic. So the Landmark Commission will review what windows we're installing and,
Look at those headers.
yeah. Yeah, right, wood.
Wood,
I'd
right?
love to leave that exposed, right?
Yeah, that'd be cool, right?
Yeah. And the arch, right? So that you get that arch above and the header, just solid, rock solid piece
Why
of
is
timber.
that arch there?
It's a good question. I'm not 100% sure why.
It's for weight distribution,
Yeah?
genuinely, with Roman arches. That's why they built the aqueducts like that, for weight distribution.
You might have to look that up because I don't know.
You got your creative talking about weight distribution.
In the basement, then we have that other level, then we have the main
So-
level. This is the primary bedroom level, and then this would be,
Right, so you got basement,
Yep.
garden level,
yep,
parlor floor, primary,
Primary.
kids.
so that's 5.
Yes. Like you have to find the fun, you have to find the light. Right? So bang.
So you put that in?
So no, that was always here, but right, it kind of just, I at this point I know what's happening, but doesn't that just jump out and say, well,
Absolutely.
why don't we make that like 5 times as big?
Yeah.
And then we'll take this piece of brightness and expand it like that, and then how do we
way
make it?
down.
And then how do we make it go down? So if you get a shot down this,
Wow, look at
so
that.
this is typically butted up, right? So it's like you come up the stairs and bang, the wall is right here. So I always push this out to create more of a gap here, so that the sunlight can go all the way from the top
Plus it
floor
looks
all the way
great
down.
too, yeah.
And it's kind of more interesting. I always joke that you can yell down to your kid like, "Get Britta, the toast is burning again." It's mom.
Or you go down there and you scream for them to get up.
That's right. Get out of bed. So let's see. So we do have the same. We do have the same arch here. Yeah, I guess like in the like in Rome.
I'd double check that if I were you.
You think it's just aesthetic? But then they cover it. I know.
Relying on him now.
Rely
So all
on
right,
your
your roofs are,
creatives.
your roof, this is that man's, like the detail that we saw outside is behind here, but the roof
Right.
is pitched to the back,
Yeah,
right?
so it pitches. So you go from about like 9.5, 10 feet to I think you lose like a foot, and then I'll put all this back. So this is money also in these brownstones. These. And I usually ask them to keep, like this will, like they would have heaters behind that typically, but we take all that out. So you have those beautiful cast iron steam heat from the radiators from the old days. But I take, those have to go, and then we just put central heat and air conditioning.
So this was the old, what, lath on the brick, right?
You just knocked that off?
I did. It's less, I just saved you some money.
You did demo, but you could see like the new pockets. So that's a big deal. Like they want to make sure that the framing
And
is
that's
in a
what's
new
holding
pocket.
everything.
That ties it together,
Yeah.
right? And I don't think we have it in this house, but if you ever notice in these old buildings in New York City, you'll see like a star sometimes on the outside of the building.
And it pulls.
And that's essentially rods that come from that hold the structure in place.
Was this a window? You think this was an end unit?
It probably might have been like they might have combined the units at some point, like early days, and maybe it was a door or some sort of like, it might have been also just for like some kind of vent or wire that came up.
I got you.
It looks too narrow even for a door back in the day, but you do see that a bit. Can't remember if there's one here or not, but no. So I'm excited to like bust through to the roof and do and get another more private outdoor space on the roof.
So you'll do that too. How will you get up there?
I'll put a staircase.
Continue?
Yep. So the staircase will come up, and then you come up through this way. There'll be a bulkhead on the roof, which will have a skylight, a bigger skylight in the bulkhead, and windows and a door.
Nice city view.
A bit, not like I would promote it like a city view, but just to be outside, to be on the roof. Another way to get outside.
Yeah, wow.
And a little bit more private. But so I've got a new partner on this, right? He wanted to get into development, so he put $250,000 in. I've got an investor as well. I put money into this also, but he's like, yeah, let's get to the roof. Look at these comps. Look at all the houses that are selling that have rooftops and that have access to the roof. And I think we should get on the roof. And this is what is it going to cost to get onto the roof? So the construction, the demolition, the bulkhead is, let's say it's $20,000. It's not a lot of money, but then it's like window and then HVAC. So you have to heat it, you have to cool it.
So you have a structure, not just a deck.
Right. So bulkhead is basically so you can walk up and you're not coming out of a hatch. So right now there used to be a hatch over there, or it's still there, but you go through a hatch and you go up a ladder. So the whole idea is, so you put a staircase, then you have to put a whole 8-foot structure, 8.5-foot structure, then you have to put windows, then you have to put a door, then it's like, okay, well that's it. No, then you have to heat it, because it'll be really cold, there's a lot of glass, and it's super hot because all the hot air is going up. So then you have to put an air conditioning unit up there also. So then when all is said and done, what is it really costing you? And
so
what
is it just an interior space, no deck?
But then a door to the outside. So then there's a deck, so you have to put decking out there.
We have 3rd floor decks at the beach. The problem, that's why I asked you about the city view, is when somebody builds right next to you, they could block that view, right?
Yeah.
And I think conceptually when you sell it, people, oh, it's a 3rd floor deck, but I don't know how many times, like our people don't really use it.
Actually use it.
Do they hear it?
Right, it's the same thing.
So
It's
the
a little-
fantasy of it being
Yes,
there.
the
value.
optionality that I can get outside onto my roof, it's always comes down to, what is it going to cost us, and is it worth it? Is it really going to help sell the house? And I think it's worth it.
And then how many floors do you have then? You've got
Right, and then you count
3.
that, because it's also cheated, and that's another area that you can. So if you build a bulkhead, you basically get, I forget what the calculation is, but you basically get about 300 square feet for free, because you're giving access, so it's not considered FAR, floor area ratio.
Okay.
But you guys use the same.
Yeah, we do,
terminology.
there's a percentage. In Stone Harbor, getting up to that is an open interior space that can't be any more than 70 square feet because they don't want you to promote it as a bedroom.
Right.
And then when you go out, that space has to be over living space. They don't want it over deck space. So they want it inside because they don't want these triple looking decks out there.
Steve, how long have you been doing this? Is this your whole life?
I started flipping houses in my 20s.
Wow, really?
And borrowing from 10% interest, 10 points. And then I got into the Victorian and Georgian area. I was flipping homes there.
All right, so 10%, okay? You heard it from another guy, doesn't look as old as me, but it almost is. My first house I bought, I jumped at it because rates went below 10%. I thought, I'm a genius. Look at this. I'm going to go in at like 9.75. Yeah. So when people complain about...
We would have killed for these rates.
Right. I get it. Like 2%
ago.
during COVID, that was a godsend. But right now, still. Oh, yeah. Still,
I had a banker tell me, he said, any business, any loan, any mortgage, his number was 7.5. 7.5% works. You can make money like any higher, but that's 7.5. And look, we're able to get 6.5 now.
Right.
We're 6. But I was borrowing from private investors at 10 when rates were 5 and 6. So I was charged, and they were charging me 10 points. So every 100 grand, I'm getting charged $10,000 plus 10% interest.
Wow.
I'd walk away with $45,000 in gross profit. They'd make 25, I'd make 20. I could complain, but I made 20, and I was in the game.
Oh, I recently did a bit saying, my next life, I want to be the investor.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
they're the ones that...
But how do they become the investor, right? They do something, and they save their money and they build wealth and...
That's boring. Could you imagine just...
That's right. That's why I like this guy. That's boring, right? Like you flip your sandals and just
right.
I love this style.
Who wants to look at
I put
spreadsheets?
my real shoes on for this guy because thinking let me dress up, and he wears sandals.
I've got my real shoes in there, but I was like, you know what? Let's get back from the Bahamas.
Right? I'm literally like distracted now. Like I want to call Javed. I want to give you a real example of Javed. Why am I looking at plans here that are wrong?
I feel your pain because I know I'm going to pick on your plans because that's usually my plans. Because it's hard, right? You do this and you think you got it. And then now you have to give everybody the revisions.
And then and every time I'm like, this is never going to happen again. Every time I say, throw the plans out. I don't want them here. Throw them out. Well, because I have, just keep it organized then. And inevitably, someone grabs this plan, and it's this plan, and you got.
Here's one thing I did years ago, even change orders, right? When you're doing custom home building, right? We use a software called Builder Trend. The latest and greatest set of plans are in there. It's the client's responsibility, the plumber, the Ferguson Supply, everybody to go in there.
You have a Ferguson too?
Yeah, to make sure that they have the latest and greatest.
Right.
So but that's This is fun though.
Yeah. Yeah, I was I saying that?
Yes, and where is that?
Where's that?
toilet.
Here, yeah,
Toilet's in front of the
right.
fireplace.
There's a fireplace here that we decided we do not want to take this fireplace out because we're restoring this house. Where is the fireplace? So it should be back in there. It is back in there. It's upstairs, but in the plan, it's not reflected in the plan. So I got to talk to my guy and say, just make sure we have the right version on site.
So, I mean, you have a love for every aspect of building and real estate like I do. So how did you get started?
Actually, I got started in this out of desperation. I had an executive search business on 57th and 7th, and I had a bunch of guys working for me. It was very lucrative, but I hated it. Hated it. But, it was my business. I owned it. I knew how to do it. But just like, life is too short. Like, I really want to do something that I hate. So I rolled it into a .com. So you're old enough to know what that means. Yeah. An ex-girlfriend said, "Don't ever say .com again. Like you're dating yourself." I'm like, "That's what it was called. It was like this new thing. This new thing. You put this .com on the end, and it's like I don't know." Yeah. So anyway, so I started. I rolled everything. I burned the boats, as they say. Rolled it all into a .com. On paper, I was worth a lot of money, and then it all blew up. So in like the year 2000, the .com thing
bubble, right?
Bubble
they
burst.
Call it a .com bubble.
Right, and then. But I had bought this house in Greenwich, Connecticut on the water, and I was broke. I was out of business. I lost everything. And I'm in this house that I couldn't afford, and they're building this giant house next door to me, some hedge fund guy, and I would go over there. The hedge fund guy was never there, but the builder was there. Became best friends with him, still best friends with him. And I said, put me to work. Just teach me how to do, have me do stupid shit.
Awesome.
Measure tile, measure for hardwood floors, and I did it. And I was like 40 years old.
That's awesome.
So, and then I loved it. And next thing you know, I bought a house essentially off the asset that I owned, that I had no right owning. I lived in the house on the water in this asset that I had no right owning because of the paper money that I was worth from the .com that blew up. So I took that asset, I borrowed against it, and I bought another house in Greenwich, Connecticut. So now I had this house, but I was like, all right, now how am I going to build it? It was right when, you remember zero APR?
Oh yeah.
The days of, you'd get a credit card.
It was like negative.
Everyone was like sending you credit cards. And I had so I built my first house essentially on zero APR credit cards. I bought the property on an asset that I owned that I had no right owning. And then I built the house on zero APR credit cards, and the market was just this. So I jumped out, I got kicked out of the .com bust, and I went right into the mortgage debacle. Essentially, the early days of the mortgage debacle, bankers were giving you money that they had no right giving you off of some inflated value for this house or these assets. But thankfully, I was in Greenwich, Connecticut, not in Ohio somewhere. But I was in Greenwich building.
Maybe The Big Short. Remember that?
Yes, it was that. And then in 2008, I moved to New Zealand, just before the crash. And I was building 4 houses at a time, selling them for like crazy money, making like, it was basically used to be the formula was you buy for $1 million, build for $1 million, and your profit is $1 million. So you buy for $1 million bucks, build for $1 million bucks, sell for $3 million.
66% cost, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, bang. And then I went to New Zealand, I came back, and it was like half of that. And now it's like still half and a lot more risky because COVID happens. And some people won during COVID, some people lost during COVID.
Yeah, we had a big
You
boom,
won.
a big boom on our island. But guys, think about that story. Everyone says, hey, I can't get into it. They see these $1 million brownstones, they see the $1 million island, the Bahamas, and they think you and I woke up and that was there. No, credit cards, me, 10% interest, 10 points. They made more money. So it starts somewhere.
Yeah, no, I talk about that a lot.
Yeah, there's no excuse not to go for it.
Yeah, right. And you got to have fun. Life goes on, even if you make mistakes. I've learned most of my lessons from mistakes. Most of my
absolutely
right, and it's just it's like fast.
But when you're going through it, you think it's the end of the world, a nightmare. But looking back, it was a lesson. Absolutely.
Just keep going. And now I'm living in the West Village in New York City,
awesome.
in a pink house. It's cool. Right. We'll check it out.
I'll follow you in a cab.
Get on the bed.
All right, so this is what Mark was talking about. I never knew what a brownstone was or meant. Basically, you got stone behind it, but the brown stucco, if you will, it's gritty, it's sand, and they apply it just like a stucco finish. So that's what makes the brown color. And it's a stone that's from Jersey. It's like a crushed stone. But right here, you have, look, I imagine this is 220, 320, 355. They're the Historical Society approved colors, and they're gonna pick one of those colors. for the brownstone here. So they chisel it all off, make those lines, and then they stucco over it. Going around with Mark, showing me these great projects. Love the brownstones. I've never been in a brownstone. Fresh off the airplane in Bahamas, going back tonight. Learned a lot today, and I gotta be honest, I started flipping houses, but I started flipping Victorians and Georgian, and I've got the fever again. I went in these, I'm like, man, but it's just awesome to grab one of these old buildings that's over 150 years old, gut it, keep all some of that historical trim, and put it back together and make it new again, but it still has that nostalgic look. So can't wait to see what Mark's got going. I really can't wait to see Mark down on the island. He and I are like kindred spirits. We get it. We're having fun doing real estate. Both realize life's short. You know, you got to go after your dreams.
I love the adventure. You know, that's why I think I love living in New York City. That's why I moved to New Zealand. Probably why you bought an island. Like, who knows what's around that corner?
You get tired of stuff real fast too, right? You need that new.
Yeah, a little bit of that too.
A little ADD going around. You know, this project, that project. So New Zealand, what was that like? So I'm getting ready to embark on doing business. I just started a month ago internationally. What was that like? And
hang on to your hat.
People think you were crazy?
Hang on to your wallet.
Did people think you were nuts?
Yes, you know, and it's funny. You get like the typical American, ugly American, all the the American, all the American stuff. Which, by the way, I started pushing back after being there for 2 or 3 years. I started pushing back. People would say, "Is it true that a lot of Americans don't have their passport?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, you know, whatever." And after a while, I was like, "Yeah, you know why? Because they don't need a passport. Because everything is in the United States. You have the world-class cities. You have world-class mountains, lakes, Grand Canyon. It's just, you know, diversity. It's just so much going on in New York and LA and Texas, Colorado, Aspen, Maine. So much to do that you don't really need to leave, quite frankly. But we did, and look,
did you build houses there?
Yeah, I'd subdivided. So
okay.
So I think you'll be dealing with that if you haven't already, have you?
Yeah, we're doing subdivision. I just got my topography plan yesterday, finally waiting for like 6 months and doing the subdivision. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's exciting. You know, it's a little bit different, and infrastructure, putting sewer lines, streets, electrical, digging, a lot of,
Were you on the water there?
And I was on the water.
Okay.
So, and tell me if you have the same problem. There's what's called the Queen's Chain in New Zealand. So you're not allowed to necessarily own on the water, certainly not a foreigner. So you have to be a New Zealand resident, passport holder, typically.
Here you can, in the Bahamas.
In the Bahamas you can.
Exuma, yes. There's crown land where you can't build on, that the government owns, but you can, as a foreign citizen, own land like we do now. So, and we're actually building.
Great podcast with Steve at the Classic Car Club. Love these guys. Always very generous with their space and time. And looking forward. Come on, don't let me down.
I enjoyed my time in New York, but you're going to enjoy your time in Exuma. So
I'm looking forward
next month?
Yeah.
Next month?
Yeah. All right. How about like October? I think works
awesome.
for me. Yeah.
I want to get you down there during the construction. I appreciate when it's done, man. Good. Nice talking.
Yeah, that was fun.